In this case, we already know how to create the HTML file. We know we use the Notepad++, or you can use any text editor to create your HTML. But now we are going to use Django, and we are going to put the HTML in the web. You know how to create the Django at the first time, but the question is how we can add the HTML part in the Django. So let's use a very simple HTML tag. Okay, you can make the first project, maybe first Django, or you can make first project. Let me just close this one, and I will create a new project. Okay, let's make a new project. And then I will create a Django. So you can see, oh, okay, something wrong with my voice. That's, is it okay? Okay, yeah. Okay, let me, I don't know what is the problem, but okay, anyway, if you have any issue, let me know. So first you can select Django. There are many options, as you already know. Yeah, pure Python, Django, and etc. Let's just use Django. And I have this previously configured interpreter, which is the Python. And I have the settings. So here I would like to use the Django for the template language. And I'm going to put the template folder as templates. And anyway, yeah, you can have this as the default, and you can create. So please remember what the project name that you're going to use. Maybe for the first, yeah, I can just change first project or first Django. It's up to you. Let me use first project. And I'm going to open it into the same environment like this. And this is the first Django environment. For this environment, I think I need to give you a brief description about the files that you have in this Django. We have init.py. So if you click here, you can see the init.py. In Python, when you create an object-oriented programming construction, you will have the init as the initial, and we call this is a constructor. If you click this one, actually there is nothing. But it is necessary to have this file as a constructor. It means do not delete this file, even though it is blank. We have another file. Oh, yeah, this is the new one. I think you go to settings.py. If you go to the settings.py, everything that you want to connect with other, for example, you want to connect to Amazon service, or you want to connect to the Google service, you need to modify the settings. You can see here, you will have the secret key. So the secret key here is different with your secret key. This is my computer secret key, and your computer has the different secret key. So every time you create a new project, it will create a new secret key, which is totally different. And if you have some installed apps, yeah, you can put the definition here. Or if you have what we call as middleware, you can define here. And in the templates, yeah, you will need to define the templates. Yeah, we're going to learn today. And if you have any kind of applications, yeah, this is web service application, you can define here. If you are using any kind of database, yeah, at this moment we are just using one database, which is SQL3. And we have the definition about the authoritative password validators. So when you are using some templates, yeah, you can define the login information like username, password, and they have already the functions to validate your password, like the numeric password validator or common password validator, minimum length validator, and user attribute similarity validator. It means you can just reuse the existing code. And the language code, yeah, I'm not sure what kind of language code you're using now, but you can change this one. And let's suppose we have the time zone. The time zone now in Korea, yeah, you can define with the time Korea time zone, but this one is in the UTC. Okay, yeah, we are going to learn one by one for these settings. Okay, so you can learn by the time. And URLs. URLs is the part of the link. Whenever you are going to access your web, you need to define here. So you will need to define like this one. You have the import function. So it is a file to manage the URL link. WSGI.py. It is the web server gateway interface. It is to connect to other platform or to other server. So if you go this one, yeah, it is to connect to other server. Manage.py. Manage.py is a file to set the Django environment. You have this manage.py. So this is the main method. If you understand Python, or if you create a new pure Python project, you will have main method. So this main method will be executed at the first time when you run the Django environment. So this is the main method. It will run the Django setting module. It will use the settings from the first project. So this is the most important part when you run your Django. Templates. In these templates, it is a folder to place HTML or CSS or JavaScript. So here you can see the templates. This will be the place to put your HTML. We will learn this one later. And external libraries. In this file, in this folder, it is the Python interpreter. In other platforms, you need to define the virtual environment. So you can see by clicking this one, it goes to the folder where you have your Python. This is your Python folder. This folder will be different with your folder. If you don't have this one, you can create your virtual environment. So in this project, there will be a Python file separately. That if you have already Python in your computer, then just use the Python in your computer. Okay, I think in the new version, they include new file, which is ASGI, because the ASGI and the WSGI, they are different for connection to the server. Okay? Now, let's make step by step. Okay? And because it is a sequence, please follow my step. Okay? If you miss one sequence, your web will not run. At the first time, let's create a new file and let's make fuse.py. So here in the folder first Django or the first project, yeah, if you are using the first Django, you can use the first Django. If you are using the first project, do right click on your mouse and then choose new and choose Python file and then type fuse.py. So in the first project here, you can click new and then you click Python file and type the name fuse, and it will automatically generate a Python file because you're selecting the Python file. There will be a new tab here, which is fuse.py. Okay, you have the fuse.py. Let the content of the fuse.py is this one. Okay, so just copy and paste this code. The fuse.py is a kind of HTTP response. Here is the response. Do you still remember in HTML file? What does it mean by P? The paragraph. Here is the paragraph. Okay. This is the starting tag, and then this is the ending tag. So I'm just creating a very simple HTML file. I'm not accessing the HTML file, but accessing the HTML tag. And this function, I just explained to you about function in Python. It is a function, and the function name is index. We are going to put one parameter. Here is a request. So whenever there is a request from the browser, it will go to this index, and then the response will be an HTML file. In this case, we need to use the django.http to use this HTTP response. Next, yeah, I don't know why until now this PyCharm environment still have the same issue. You need to change in the settings.py. So let's go to the settings. Okay, in the settings.py, you can go to the templates. Okay, can you find template? Now in the template, you can see there is one section about dirs, D-I-R-S. This is the directory that you will put your HTML file. This cannot be in the slash. So slash is not working. It should be plus. Okay. So please change this one. So every time you create your new project, you need to change this one. So this is the, I'm not sure why the Django has some kind of errors in these templates. So every time you create projects, please do not forget to fix this problem. So it means that the folder templates will be the place for the other relevant files. For example, the HTML, CSS, DS, images, and etc. Okay, after you finish with the views and after you finish with the setting, now let's update the urls.py. Let's go to the urls.py. Okay, this is the urls.py. And you need to update. So the original code is this one. Now you are going to need, you're going to include two additional lines. The red color, okay, you need to include this one into the code. So I will copy the red color here into this one, and then I will copy this into this one. What we are going to do with this one is you are going to import views. What is view here? This is the file that we just created. This is views.py. Okay, and whenever we execute this environment, if there is no such URL, you will run views.index. What is .index? This is the name of the function. If you press Control, if you press this one, then it will go to the index function in views.py. Okay. Let's say you want to change this index. Can I change to home? Yes, of course. But you need to change in the urls.py. This one should be home. Okay, so it should be the same with the function name that you define. Well, let me just use index to make it clear with the PowerPoint file. Okay, so we have already this. Okay. Okay, now is the time to start. You can start this Django by clicking the start button here. This is a strange, I guess. Wait a moment. I need to use this one. Oh, sorry, I forgot to put this slash. Okay, I forgot to put plus and slash. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, if you see the environment in the below part, you can just click. This one is http://127.0.0.1:8000. So when you click this one, you will see hello world. Okay. Okay, so the new version of Django, I think it works with the slash. Okay, okay, so yeah, I think now it works with slash only. Yeah, if your computer works with both, then it's also good. Thank you for your information, Ramon. Thank you, Yuhajun. Okay, any other issues with your computer? Yeah, okay, wait a moment. Let's go to the next one. You already learned the HTML file. How can we edit? So here we are going to use the HTML file, and yeah, what you already learned before, it was two steps. You create views.py, and then you modify urls.py. And in the previous example, we assume that you have HTML file with only one line. Now I would like to access the HTML file. So in this case, yeah, you need to have a specific, we call it app. If you check on the Django documentation, they call it folder or app. And in the app, they need views.py and urls.py. So before you start with this example, let's delete the views.py in the parent folder. So I will just delete to avoid some misunderstanding. I will delete this part. Okay. So I will delete all the thing related to this. Yeah, including this one. Yeah, I will delete this part. I will delete this part. Okay. So here, yeah, you need to have the idea that every time you want to connect to your HTML file, you should have these three files. The first is the views.py. It is related to the connection from your HTML to the server. URLs, it is the link. And then HTML is the file that you will show on the web browser. Now let's suppose we have one folder. Let's create a new file folder. Let's call it posts. And then let's create a new file views.py in the folder posts. So you will create a new folder. Here you can see there is a folder polls. The folder polls is in the same tree with the project. So be careful when you create the folder. You need to create a folder here. Let's make a folder. Let's just use the directory. Wait, I forgot this one. Oh, sorry. We need to make a Python package. Okay. We need to make a Python package instead of the directory. So here you can click new and then you click Python package. Let's make this Python package as false. So you will have .init dash init.py. After you have this folder polls, let's create a new file views.py. Because it is a Python file, so let's make a Python file. and the Python file will be fuse.py. Is blank. You can fill the fuse.py with this code. Okay. You can copy. You can see here we have one HTTP response, and then you are going to use a template. So this loader will load one HTML file. Here you are going to load one template, which is the hello world. And let's suppose here I just have one variable, which is name, and I put it into the string. Yeah, so we have puff as a string. And here I make it as a dictionary. Okay, so you already learned dictionary. We have a key. The key is name, and the value is name. And it will return. The return value will be based on the HTTP response. And I'm going to render. What I'm going to render is based on the temp. The temp is the file HTML. And what I am going to render is the information in this context, which is name. And I will put it into the HTML file. So the request is just a request from the web browser. Okay. And next, yeah, we will return back to learn more about codes. In the next, we need to have urls.py and make it in the folder holes and copy and paste this code. So inside of this holes, you can make one new file, urls, and then copy and paste. So in every application, we call it the application, you need to have at least two files. The first is related with what you are going to do. So this is what we call as the backend. Maybe you need to access to the Anaconda library to do the machine learning stuff. So you can do here. And then once you get the result, you want to access it into one, for example, HTML file. And this URLs is to connect the HTML file with the link that you will define in your URL, or this is the link that you will have in your web. In this case, I'm going to connect to the index when you have the path equals to nothing. So the path is nothing here. So it's blank. And last one, let's create a new HTML file, hello world HTML file, and let's put it into the folder templates. So I will copy and paste this one. In the folder templates, you need to make a new HTML file. So for your assignment, yeah, you can create HTML file from here. You can have the text editor here. You can define what is the name of your HTML file. For this example, we have hello world.html. Here you can see we have some options: HTML file, HTML4, and XHTML. Basically, they are yeah, similar. You can just have the HTML file because all those files have the extension .html. So this is the .html. You can see there is one file, hello world.html. You can replace this one with the code that I shared on the PowerPoint. So here is the HTML tag. And then I have the head. And the title of the web page will be hello world. And here is the body. And I have the H1, which is the header, hello world. And I want to put a name. So here I have one row, okay, TR, one row. And I have two elements or two cells. The first cell is name, and the other cell is the name from the backend. Okay, so we will see this one. Okay, after you have the application, here you have the views, you have the urls.py, and then you have the HTML. So after you have all those three, do not forget to update the code in the urls.py in the parent folder. Okay, what is the parent folder? Here. Okay. Here is the parent folder. Here is the parent folder. You need to update the urls.py here, and you need to specify what is the link. Here is the link. For the link, yeah, whenever I turn on this Django environment, I will go to the pols.urls. Pols is the folder name. URLs is the Python file name. And when we access this one, if there is nothing here, we will access the views.index. And the file views is from the folder pols. So I want to include the file views into this one. And I'm just using the path to access this file. Now we have one error. Okay. It means we need to include from the existing library. Okay. So you just include this one. After path, you can include. Yeah, it's similar with the plus, but actually it is to use, yeah, this one. We have an include function. Okay. The include function means it is to get where is your file in your backend. So they want to access a file to connect to your backend. So this is the connection from your front end to the backend. Now, after you have those four, okay, views.py, urls.py, HTML file, and then the URLs in the parent folder. Now let's run. When you run, oops, error. What happened? So there are two options here. The first, admin, and the second is pulse. If you go to admin, yeah, it means you will go to admin page. This is the admin page defined by Django. Let me skip this one first. The other page is pulse. So you can type pulse. Now you can see your result. How it works? How does it work? The pulse here is defined in this path. Let's say I'm changing this name. I'm changing this to half. Then we should follow this link. Okay, so if you run this one, then it is error. The server understands that the name should be half because your definition is half. Okay. So this is the definition of your link. Let me just return back to post. So I will just change the post. Okay. Now, when we access this one, we will go to post.urls. The post.urls, now we have something blank. You can put something here as well, the same like the URLs here. Here you put the post slash. Now let me assume if I put this one ABC slash. When you run, yeah, you can run directly with post, but you still need to put another, which is ABC. Okay, so that's the definition of the URL. When you specify the name of the link, it will go according to the web browser link. So this is by the definition of the path. Let me just delete this one. If you are running this, it means you are going to access the index. What is the index? The index is here. The index is a function, and this function contains this information. There is one variable name, and the variable name contains the value top. And then we are going to load the hello world.html. So this is the hello world.html. And after we load this HTML file, whenever I call a name, let's call the name variable in the backend. What is the name in the backend? Oh. That's why you will see hello world. This is the header one. And then name, it's UFS. Because we are calling name is the first cell. And the second cell is we are using this element, the two curly bracket. These two curly bracket means I want to access the data in the server, and let's call the variable name. What is this name? This name is from the, oh, sorry. This name is from the key of the dictionary, and I would like to call the variable name in the backend. In this case, this top. I can change like this one. Welcome to the first web page of Django. Okay. this is a long message, and if you are then what you mention there, it will appear in the web page. Okay. Any questions? So far, so good. Not working? Okay, I need to help you later. Oh, okay. So the remaining part is only the explanation. Okay, let me explain one more time. So the template tag, okay, we call it, this is the template tag. With the double curly bracket, this one, we are going to parse or send the variable from the Python file to the web. We know the name here, and we are going to send this variable name into the web in the HTML file. And yeah, you can have comment in every programming languages, yeah, like Python, Java, C++, everything. The programming languages, they will put comments. So just as in the HTML or in any programming languages, such as Python, Django also have a way to put comment. So in Django, when you want to give comments, you need to put the curly bracket with sharp, and then ending with the sharp and curly bracket. So you can see the, yeah, this is the comment in Django. Of course, you already learned in the HTML, you have this. You can define the comment by this description of the HTML file. So you don't need to execute these comments. The comment will not be output when the template is rendered. So a comment cannot span multiple lines. So the comment is only in one line. This limitation improves template processing performance. So if you have like this example in the following template, the render output will look exactly the same as a template, but the comment tag will not be parsed as a comment. So if you have multiple lines like this one, then it will not be parsed as a comment. Okay. Any questions?